Hello, this is my digital portfolio for EDU 682, Developing and Integrating Technology in the Classroom. This digital portfolio is a showcase of the work I completed throughout the semester, and just kind of how you could integrate technology in the classroom. As you see below, I kind of outlined some of my materials that are linked above in their own categories, but I have something to do with curriculum, so a ninth grade unit plan and how I integrated technology in that, online assessment that I created using Google Forms, and then also a digital citizenship image, and then some resources that I attached and found to promote digital citizenship. So the very start of this class, my focus or my first task was to create an about me page for this digital portfolio. So I'm actually currently, this is one of my final courses to complete my master's in educational administration, educational leadership. And right now I'm actively kind of seeking leadership roles. I have taken on a role at York High School now that I'll be starting this school year as an ELA teacher, and I'm kind of titled the School Improvement Coordinator with an emphasis on curriculum and data collection for standardized testing. These are my two degrees. Currently have my bachelor's, and as I said, at the completion of this course, I'll have my master's. Um, Kind of included some things about me that I just feel like you should know, my personal belief and mission in education. A couple of must-reads as an English teacher. These are the books that I really, really love. And then a big part of me, I love storytelling. I love ESPN's E60s. One of the greatest ones, I believe, is the one about 1983 NC State Wolfpack and their championship run in March Madness. And if you don't know that story, essentially, it's about Jimmy Valvano's team at North Carolina State who defies the odds and goes on a complete run and wins the national championship that year. Unfortunately, Coach Valvano was diagnosed with cancer later on in his life, and he created the Jimmy V Foundation, which raises money and research for cancer every year. I'm sure you've seen it if you watch any college basketball. And this is his speech where he kind of creates his quote about never giving up. And I just love this speech. I love Jimmy Valvano. He's played a big part in my philosophies and principles in education and outside of it. So, as I said, one of the first things we were kind of tasked with um, was creating an image for digital citizenship. So my focus was on investigate before you interact. This is kind of a piece you could put up in your classroom as a reminder for your students. So these are the magnifying glasses specify something that students need to remember to do whenever they're interacting online. So checking with trusted adults before using social media, keeping accounts private, not accepting friend requests from strangers, speaking kindly, pausing before you post, and reporting anything that feels wrong or unsafe. I've also included two resources I found online that I think would be beneficial for teachers to use in the classroom if they wanted to, or even parents to have access to promote with their middle school age or high school age students. So one of them is a podcast series focusing on digital citizenship for middle school students. I've linked that podcast and included the um, synopsis of what it is all about, as well as kind of a digital citizenship 101 YouTube video which I actually used to help make my Investigate Before You Interact poster. Finally, at the bottom here, if students wanted to, they could take the Safe Kids quiz, which is a little bit of a test on digital citizenship and how effectively they know all about it. The other piece that we were tasked with doing was online assessment. So I've attached my Google form that I've created. This is a Google form test focused or quiz, sorry, focused on rhetorical analysis. Students are asked to read an excerpt from Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail and answer the questions below. So we had to create some multiple choice questions, some multiple choice questions. I would have to answer these. The next page goes on. I split it up into three separate pages. One of them is short answer, and I have a writing strategy I ask students to utilize. And then the last one is a kind of essay-based question. So I had them broken down into each part. I'll just click these randomly to work through this. So you can kind of see. So now we use using the race writing strategy, which is something I teach in my classroom for students. It asks them to do, write a short answer, and finally, essay question in a well-developed paragraph, analyze rhetorical strategies, and argue that his actions are unwise and untimely. So how does Dr. King use rhetorical strategies to argue against the notion that his actions? There you go. The last piece was our curriculum. So I've attached my Google documents that I created, which kind of outline two things. One, a unit plan, and two, a lesson plan. So these were supposed to be anywhere from 3 to 5 days in length. I went with 5 days for 45-minute class periods and one 30-minute because that's the schedule that I'm familiar with. This was an emphasis on thesis statements, helping students craft and support thesis statements, having a claim, and then having reasoning, excuse me, and how do we do that? So, a couple of things I include: Pear Deck, my short answer, and then I actually include Kaizena, which is a tool that allows teachers to get feedback. And then I kind of break that down in my lesson plan. So for this particular lesson, students compose a thesis statement. We practice drafting some. They do that using my short answer. This is kind of a definition of my short answer from their website, but essentially it's like Pear Deck, but I like it a little bit better because you can remove the anonymous feature if you would like, and also you can have students vote. So Pear Deck, it kind of just plops it all up onto the screen. My short answer turns it into like a voting for you. So you have 20 students write a thesis. It breaks down into round robin tournament style. They vote on the best one, explain why. Then we have four, two, and then we have a champion. And after each round, you could stop and discuss who's left, or you could wait till the very end and you could discuss as a whole group to catch any misconceptions. If they pick a thesis statement as a class that you believe isn't very strong, now you have the ability to have a conversation about where those misconceptions were. Or it's a great way for you to check really quickly, did they understand this content about thesis statements? Are they picking the best one? I also like it because it gets a chance for students to really shine. Sometimes you have students who don't think they're very strong writers. By the end of it, their thesis is picked to be the best. That little bit boost of pride can go a long ways in writing. The other tool, Kaizena, which is pretty cool, is you get to give audio feedback or comments to students' work. I really do love giving extensive feedback to my students with their writing. I have not yet used this tool, but I found it while working through this class these couple weeks, and I plan to implement it in my own classroom. Essentially, it's a little bit different than in Google Docs where you leave a comment typed out. I can record my voice, leave a link for them, and then they can open it and listen to it. And sometimes I get tired of typing, and other times I just like to expand, and I think I'm a little bit better when I talk about it rather than write it out for them. So that would be really beneficial for those students on this particular lesson. Anyways, that was the work that I completed this semester in EDU 682, developing and integrating technology. I definitely picked up some new skills as far as what pieces of technology I can include in my classroom. And I'm interested to think about this. Each assignment, I try to think about it from the educational leadership perspective. How could I integrate this into that as well? Anyways, appreciate it. Thanks for all the help this semester.